There were moments that were a little bit scary. At least 3 times that I can remember where I knew if I didn't act exactly in the right way, that in less than a minute, it's lights out. One of those was when a giant cargo ship had accidentally turned directly into us. And I'm looking at this ship bigger than the Titanic, about 800 meters away. And there was a moment of me thinking how stupid I am to be out there in the ocean. I'm Paris Norris and I'm from the UK. I moved here 15 years ago, initially for 2 weeks just to find out what all the hype is about. I remember Burj Khalifa was 2/3 built and there was rumors of all sorts of other things happening. And I thought, right, this is a place to start my career. At that time, the UK was in the middle of the financial crisis. I had just left university with a degree in finance. For the whole time, I thought I was going to go work in an investment bank. And by the time it actually came time to do it, they were firing half of their staff. So I realized it wasn't the time for what I thought I would do. And then I had a conversation with somebody and they sort of triggered something that was already inside me, which was that I really, truly wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just thought that having a bit of experience might be a good idea. And he just said, look, working for a big company is going to teach you nothing about setting up a small company. He said, Paris, all I can tell you is this. The only thing that separates me from my clients is that they didn't sit on the fence and they got off and do it. Then I literally just shook his hand and said, thanks, Jeff. I've made up my mind. So I went back to the drawing board of what business to set up. When I came out to Dubai, I had an idea and pretty much got shot down quite quickly. I definitely had a lot of rejection and failure. I mean, it happened all the time, but I would just persist because I was sort of more focused on the bigger plan. So I didn't take it too deeply. But there was definitely a moment when it really changed the way I looked at things. I had set up my first business with a bit of success, but then for one reason or another, it didn't work. I then went into a second business, set that up, it worked for a period of time, and then for one reason or another, it didn't work. And I was sat there, it was maybe sort of 4 months after it had collapsed, and it had ended quite ugly. I started to think, okay, I sacrificed Christmas Day to work for that project. I didn't go down to South Africa with my girlfriend at the time, who had a mother who had a terminal illness, and that might have been her last Christmas. But I didn't go because I didn't want to let my business partners down, and I was committed to the project. So not only was I working day, night, weekends, Christmas Day, but in the end, it didn't work. I thought, well, how long am I going to keep on going failing? Because it isn't guaranteed that there'll be a success along the way. So I thought, this has to be more rewarding, and the journey has to be really what I'm after, and the journey has to be able to give me the fruits of life that I want. And so I had to ask myself the big question, you know, what do I really want in life? Like, how would I like my life to be? And I thought, well, I like to travel. I want to spend time with friends. I want to be able to spend the important moments with family. I like adventures. I want to challenge myself. I want to do big, grand scale adventures. And so I painted this picture in my head of what I wanted to do, and I then thought, okay, well, how are you going to make that a business? And then very quickly I was like, well, why don't we make a TV show about a guy that goes and does this? So within about 20 seconds, I'd come up with a business model for this. And then I realized, oh, I've got a coffee, I'm late. I went to see my friend Neil for a coffee. And I said, Neil, I've got this new idea. And he says, I like it. You should call it Guy in Dubai. And then I went and registered the name then and there. I think the only successes I've had is because of persistence and resilience. I think that's the only real skill that I've ever brought to the table that I could say is more so than other people that I know. I wasn't going to give up. That became very evident during the pandemic when I couldn't film. I had staff and couldn't keep them on. And I thought, well, this is a great time because other people in the business aren't really passionate about this and they're going to be down and out. But I'm going to get through this and come out the other side. So I'd say the most challenging and exciting physical challenge that I've ever done was what I did last year when me and 3 of my friends formed a team called the Brothers in Oars. And we rowed a small boat across the Pacific Ocean, 4,800 kilometers, which took us 39 days. Of course, the best part of that was arriving in Hawaii with our family there, and probably the best day of my life. There were moments that were a little bit scary. There were at least 3 times that I can remember where I knew if I didn't act exactly in the right way, that in less than a minute, it's lights out. One of those was when a giant cargo ship had accidentally turned directly into us. Had followed the wrong instructions on the radio and turned the wrong way because it couldn't see where we were. And I'm looking at this ship bigger than the Titanic, about 800 meters away, and there was a moment of me thinking how stupid I am to be out there in the ocean. Because if it had hit our boat, even if we had jumped off, we were in 10-degree water. We would have got hypothermia in 30 minutes. We would have died of it in 4 hours. Our life raft would have been spewed somewhere else. There's quite high winds at the time, so it probably would have been long gone. But we fixed it. You know, you got 1 minute. So 1 minute, you have to use it well. So my family have known me, you know, my whole life. And the only person who sort of gets a little bit worried is my brother, because he's very risk averse. And he would never do anything like this. So I remember when he said to my dad, you know, have you heard this? You know, what do you think about this? Is, you know, planning to row across the Pacific Ocean. I mean, it's incredibly dangerous. And my dad just said, that's what Paris does. I certainly made it clear while we were on the boat, I don't want my mum to know anything that happens on the boat. So we had a clear policy. Any bad information can't come in on the boat. Any bad information can't go off the boat. So if something had happened, we had to deal with it, not to alarm our family, who couldn't speak with us and weren't able to connect with us and couldn't tell quite how bad it was. I think I would almost definitely not row across the Pacific Ocean again. I've done it now, so it's something I can take with me forever. Other adventures I would be very interested in doing. Maybe another ocean, but I'm not sure if I'd necessarily need or want to do that. But, you know, I'm going to the Antarctica in January, just got back from K2, plan to do some big mountains as well. I have many dream adventures that I want to do. I wrote down 5 on the 1st of January 2021 that I was going to do in the next 5 years. Some of those have happened now. Some of those are happening. But there was one that I was going to do last year, but it wasn't going to work because it was just going to cross over with the rowing expedition across the Pacific. And when I was on the boat rowing, we didn't get any news because we were disconnected. But the one piece of news that did come through that everybody sent to me when we connected with the satellite, I got news firstly from my business partner, because he knew what my plans were, that the submarine mission to the Titanic had imploded, which was the very submarine mission that I was planning to be on. And it's been my dream to see the Titanic with my own eyes. But now there's a story to tell of 2 shipwrecks. And it's a sad story because some of those guys were from Dubai, and I knew of them, and they were good adventurers. But that's one that now I need to rethink about the logistics of how to do that. The company that did that, Ocean Gates, the CEO was on that mission, and he's now dead, and the company's now been dissolved. So that's not an option anymore. And things have to be re-looked at in terms of the safety of deep sea exploration. So one day I will go to the Titanic and see it for my own eyes, but for now, I don't have a way to do it. So I think anybody who wants to get involved in an adventure, it's not something you need to be qualified for or is only for certain people and not for others. I think the media likes to make out that you have to be an ex-SAS operative to be able to do these things, and you absolutely don't. I wasn't. I have absolutely no qualification other than a curiosity. I personally think it's something that we need to add into our balance of life, the same way that we need to exercise every day. We need to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We've got to get a certain amount of work done every day, and we've got to spend a bit of time with friends, a certain amount each week. I think going on an adventure, no matter how big or small, at least once a week is something that we should add into our balance of life. Hey, this is Paris Norris, and I am on Dose of Emirates. Please subscribe to watch more content.